So, are you ready to continue? Let's get into the debug again and see how the actual storage bin file upload really works. Now, I'm just starting with the logic. We are at the display file perform. And one thing I would do now, before I start doing F5 and everything, usually what I like is also to understand what's overall the structure of this code. So it seems to be like there's a perform upload file, there's other stuff here, field catalog merge. So I'm not reading everything, I'm literally just sensing where probably I would need to focus on. There's set table for first display, and then it already finishes here, refresh table display. So I'm wondering, maybe it's not really on this level yet. Maybe I need to go deeper to understand how the upload file works. I see another perform upload file. I'm guessing maybe we will go in here. Let's check. So now I'm gonna run F5. I know the code is not too long. F5, perform upload file. I'm gonna get into here because I think this is where stuff happens. Let's get in. F5 again. Okay, where are we now? We are at upload file. There's more data here. And set progress indicator to 1%. One thing as well that I read, as I don't read all the code, as you understood, is the comments. Good code equal good comments. No comments equal bad code. Hopefully we have some comments here. Set progress indicator to 1%. Okay, if server upload is selected, get the file created on the server, but server file upload is not selected. I'm uploading a local file from my computer, so probably this if should actually be closed like this, and I should go in the else. So the else somewhere here. So I should be skipping all this, I think. I think it's this else here, okay? This is where I'm gonna restart, and then I have GUI upload. Okay, so I have some mapping from file to data tab. You see exporting file, changing data tab. So probably the data will end up in this internal table from the file. And then from this data tab, I will be moving, I'm deleting some lines, and then there's some read, there's a loop. I expect looping because I expect several lines and the repetition of the mapping logic to be looping on all the lines of the file. So maybe on this looping here, I see some string split, I see mapping index, maybe here we have the move of the data, and then here subbins enter storage bin. Here already there it's working on the data, removing some stuff. If subbins enter of a storage bin is subdivided, line is skipped. Okay, so the subbins should not be uploaded. That's interesting. Well, it kind of makes sense. You would want to work on the main bin. This is for palette storage behavior. It can have sub bins. Of course, you not always know all this, right? If you're a junior consultant, as I'm simulating now. But basically this, I think already here we should be done, meaning somewhere before we have the mapping of the file to the internal table, and we will see the structure. I expect to see the structure of the file being mapped on an internal table, and that internal table structure should be the same as the file structure. Back here, I'm about to execute. It's call function sub GUI progress indicator F5. Actually, I'm gonna press F6. F6 basically runs the code but doesn't go inside. This sub GUI progress indicator seems to be just like visual indicator of the progress of the loading of the file. So very big files can take time, you know, and you have the bar 1%, 2%, 5%, whatever. So I'm gonna skip this. I'm gonna put F6. It's gonna go to the next line. Also the init log, initialize log. I don't care about the log, F6. So I'm moving forward. There's clearing of some global variables. GT stands for global table. So I'm moving forward. There's a local object, LO local object. Some object is initiated. Maybe we will use it later. Moving on. All right, now we have the file. And the file, indeed, here you see in the variables, this is the file name. So it's the path of the file. So I expect we still need to read the file. We just have the path. The file hasn't been read yet. If server upload is selected, get the file created by the LSMW from the application server, but that's not the case. It's not on the server, it's a local file. I'm gonna press F5. I expect to skip this if, F5. There we go. Look, we jumped at line 200. We skipped a lot of code. Now we're at this else. So if it's not on the server, meaning then it's a local file, we clear some other variables. So we put them to null, F5. And then here we have a method call that is doing the GUI upload. So I expect now that with this file name, it's going to read the file and it's going to put the data here. And this data, LT data tab, probably, I'm not sure if it's just a string. Okay, now important. It's just going to read the file, but it's going to read everything in one line on one string. And it should put here, since I have 2 lines in my file, it should put 2 rows, and it should be the whole string of each row. So I still don't know how many fields it's expecting in each line. I don't know the format of the file that is expected. Let's have a look if that's the case. I'm going to do F6. So also tip, very important in debug to understand when you should dive deeper and when you should stay on the main level. It's really based on experience and your understanding of what's happening in the code. So in this case, I don't care about reading everything in the file. I'm just going to press F6. I'm at the end of that call, and now in the data tab we see that we have 2 rows populated. In the data tab we have A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3. All right, so this is good because this is my file. I'm understanding what's happening. I have 2 lines. I still don't know what the program is expecting in the format of the file, but I'm at a good point. If I was now tracking this in detail, probably I would take a snapshot of this point here in the debugger, so that, for example, if my boss calls me or something happens, I know where to restart from, because I'm gonna go on this program, on this form, on line 230, and put a breakpoint, and then start again debugging from here. System SUBRC is 0, so the file reading was okay. This is 0 when the outcome of the previous call is good, so this is not going to be executed. F5, it's error management basically, but there's no error so far, so it's all good. Delete line with headings. What does it mean? Delete the first row of the data tab. Guess what? I'm going to press F5, and you see that now we have only 1 line. What does it mean? If I go back to the data tab, poof, the first line is gone. And if the first line is gone, I'm assuming it's not going to be used as data. So it just threw away the first line as if it was rubbish. And here in the comment, I see delete line with headings. So probably it's expecting that the very first line of the file is just headings of the columns of the data, and therefore it's not real data. So in that case, that could be a first indication that the format of the file is first line is headings, so it's just description of what's the data in each column separated by a comma. All right, and that maybe justifies the error we got in the previous video. In the previous video, the error was, oh, warehouse number B1 in row 1 not recognized. And I think that's because we threw away the first row. So we're only working from second row onwards of the file. So for the system, that's the first data to be processed. And B1, which is the first information, is really not a warehouse number in this system. So actually now it starts making sense. So let's keep going. Read data, assign it to fs line to this variable on index 1. That's fine. So it's continuing reading. The read was okay, so no need to return, no need to produce an error message. It's all good so far. And now it says find a semicolon in the string. And if you can find it, then the variable separator, local variable separator, is going to be semicolon. Otherwise, if you cannot find any semicolon in the string, then try find a comma. And if you can find the comma, if the system's SUBRC is 0, then the separator, the local variable separator, should be comma instead. So what does this mean? This means, as I read it, and there's nothing else after that, this means, hey, try guess what's the separator of the data. It could be a semicolon. So if you find a semicolon in the string of data in one line, then assume that the semicolon is the separator of the data. Otherwise, if you cannot find the semicolon, try find a comma. And if you find the comma, then assume comma is the separator. If instead you cannot even find the comma, it's going to give an error message and it's going to close the software. So either semicolon or comma can be used as separators. There's another tip for our format of our file. I used comma in our file. You can see it here in the data. So comma is here. So in the code, it should get to the comma. It should say separator is comma. It should be all good. Let's have a look together and confirm. So here it's finding the semicolon. It should not be able to find it. F5. If system SUBRC is 0, but it's not 0, it's 4, so it's not going to put separator semicolon. It's going to move forward. Otherwise, else, find the comma in the file. The comma exists, so system's SUBRC should become 0 since it's going to find it. F5. Yep, the comma was found, and therefore, if you found the comma, yes, the comma is found, then LV separator equals comma, so the separator is the comma, and now the software knows the separator in the file of data is the comma. Great. Of course, we found the separator, so this else is not needed. F5, and we're moving on. Finally, maybe we're getting to the point. Move data off the file into internal table. Perfect. So this should be it. This loop should be it. We're mapping the data in an internal table, and the format of that internal table is going to be the format of our file that we need to use. So we're there. Let's have a look. So first things first, we're going to assign the data tab to the FS line. So we have the data in FS line. We're going to clear some values. We're going to put the row equals system tab X, so the row is 1. And then we're going to move this FS line to LV line. But LV line should still be a string. Let's have a look. Nice. We can see it here. You see, it's still one single string. So I still didn't put it in a format. There's a condense LV error. I'm not sure what is this, but it doesn't seem to me anything too important. Check if the migration switch is on. If yes, take migration structure. The previously used split statement doesn't work for upload of customer-owned fields. Okay, but still we didn't map the data to any meaningful structure, so I'm just going to keep moving. It should be right after this. F5. Perform string split using X, LV line, LV separator. So it's going to do a string split, and it's going to use the separator to do the string split. So it's going to split the string in pieces. It's going to do it based on the separator, and it's going to change these two, logp and logp-mig. So one of these two should be the format of data I should be using. Let's press F6. Let's see what values we can find after the execution of this perform. So F6. And now let's have a look at LS. LS stands for local structure. So local structure logp and local structure logp-mig. The local structure logp, let's see if there's something inside. There's nothing inside, you can see, and therefore this is not great. Maybe this is not the one. Maybe this is not the format. ls logp-mig instead. Have a look. Here we are. Now finally we're here, and it seems to me like we have the winner. The ls logp-mig is the format of the file that we need to produce and upload in order to populate this internal structure. And this internal structure, guess what, has the LG num, that's the warehouse number, has the LG plot, that's the storage bin, has the LG tip, that's the storage type, and much more information, seemingly all relevant for storage bins. Of course I can scroll it, but the next step for me is to understand what is all this data, and what data do I need to provide to then map it inside the structure. So one last step to check here is what's the format of data of this ls logp-mig, and usually it's initiated, it's defined actually. It's defined at the beginning of the form. So let's go all the way up, ls underscore logp underscore mig. Let's go all the way up. Here it is, ls logp-mig, and this is the data type. This is our starting point for the structure of our storage bin upload file.